Okay, let's just state it plainly. We are living through one of the biggest tech shifts ever. Right now, as we speak, the world is literally writing the rulebook for AI. All that stuff that used to be theory, it's becoming law. And believe me, those deadlines are coming up way faster than you think.
And this quote really says it all. This is the new reality, folks. For so long, AI ethics was, this optional thing, a nice to have. Companies would put out these voluntary principles, these glossy white papers. Well, you can forget all that. Those days are officially over.
Exactly. The whole game has changed. Think about it. The last few years were all about the innovation race, right? Who could build the biggest, fastest, most powerful model? Well, that race is over. Now we're in the governance race. The new competition is all about whose rules, whose framework is going to define the future of AI for everyone. This isn't just some passing trend. It's a massive structural shift toward a safety-first world, and it's being written directly into law.
So you gotta ask, what's behind this huge global push for regulation? I mean, why now? Well, it really boils down to one single core issue, what we call the black box problem.
And what is that? Well, it's when an AI's brain works in a way that's so complicated, so alien, that we literally can't figure out why it spit out a certain answer. I mean, think about it. An AI could approve or deny your loan application. It could decide if you get a job interview. It could even help a doctor with a diagnosis. But if nobody can explain why it made that call, how can you possibly trust it? That's the nut regulators are trying to crack right now.
And the risks here, if we just let this go, they are massive. You've got hidden biases, where an AI hiring tool might just start amplifying old prejudices without anyone knowing. You've got audit failures. How can you prove to a regulator that your system is fair? And what about court? How on earth do you defend an automated decision in front of a judge if you can't explain its logic? Heck, even inside a company, people are going to stop trusting tools they can't justify. It's a complete breakdown of governance.
Okay, so there's a solution to this, and it's called Explainable AI, or XAI for short. The best way to think about it is like a digital flight recorder, but for AI. It's a whole toolkit designed to crack open that black box and turn it into something we can actually understand. The whole point is to make sure every decision isn't just right, but that it's also defensible legally and ethically.
All right, so when we talk about AI laws, there's one elephant in the room, one piece of legislation that is setting the pace for the entire planet, and that is the EU AI Act. And make no mistake, this isn't just a rulebook for Europe. Its ripple effects are being felt absolutely everywhere.
So what the EU did is pretty smart, actually. It's not a one-size-fits-all disaster. They built a risk-based pyramid. At the very top, you have unacceptable risk stuff. Think government social scoring systems. Those are just flat-out banned, gone. Then you have high-risk systems like AI for credit scores or hiring. Those face incredibly strict rules and audits. Below that is limited risk, like chatbots, where the main rule is just transparency. You have to tell people they're talking to an AI. And at the bottom, minimal risk things, like AI in a video game, are basically left alone.
And let's dig into those high-risk systems for a second, because the rules are no joke. We're talking about forcing companies to use high-quality data to stamp out bias, keeping detailed logs of everything the AI does, and making sure a human can step in at any time. Basically, these systems have to prove, before they're even sold, that they are tough, secure, and super accurate.
Now, if you're thinking this is all years away, think again. The clock is absolutely ticking. The ban on those unacceptable risk AIs, that's already happening. But the date you really need to circle on your calendar is August 2nd, 2026. That is D-Day. That's when most of these rules, especially for the high-risk stuff, kick in and become fully enforceable.
And just to show you how serious they are, look at this number, 7%. Penalties for not complying can go as high as 7% of a company's global annual turnover. That's not a slap on the wrist. That's a number that can cripple a business. These rules have some serious teeth.
Okay, so the EU's AI Act is obviously a huge deal, but it's not the only story out there. What we're really seeing is a global governance race, where the world's major players are all pushing their own ideas about how to control AI.
And in the West, you've really got two main camps squaring off, the EU and the US. The EU's model is rights-based. It's all about protecting people's fundamental rights with one big comprehensive law for the entire bloc. It's aiming to be the global gold standard for safety. The US is taking a very different innovation-first approach. It's more hands-off, relying on the private sector to lead, and instead of one big federal law, you've got this patchwork of state-level rules popping up.
So if we zoom out to the whole world, you basically see three big models taking shape. You've got the EU's rights-based approach. You've got the US's innovation-first, market-driven model, and then you have China's state-directed model, where the government has strong, centralized control to make sure AI serves national goals. Each one is a totally different answer to that big question: how do you balance safety and progress?
So does this mean we're headed for a completely fragmented world with three different sets of AI rules? Well, maybe not. Something called the G7's Hiroshima AI process is popping up as a kind of third way. It's not a hard law, but a set of voluntary guidelines trying to build a bridge between these different models. The hope is to create a way for everyone to work together, even without a single global treaty.
Okay, that's a lot of high-level stuff, so let's bring it back down to earth. With all these rules and deadlines flying around, what should you, as a developer or a business leader, actually do about it? Let's get into the new playbook.
Look, every organization needs a roadmap, and here's what it looks like. Step 1, you have to map out every single AI tool you use and classify it by risk, just like the EU does. Step 2, create an AI governance group. Get people from legal, product, and security all in the same room. Step 3 is the big one. You've got to bake compliance into your design from the very beginning. Things like fairness tests and human oversight can't be an afterthought. They have to be part of the blueprint.
So what's the real takeaway here? It's this. By 2026, compliance is not a checkbox on a form. It's not a chore. In a market that's going to be flooded with AI, being able to prove your systems are safe, fair, and transparent, that's not a burden. That is your core differentiator. That is how you win, because trust is now the most valuable currency there is.
And all of this brings us back to the biggest question, the real tension at the heart of this whole debate. As we build all these new rules and guardrails, are we hitting the brakes on innovation, or are we just making sure that the AI-powered future we're building is one that we can all actually live in and trust? Honestly, the answer to that is probably going to define the next decade for all of us.